Hi guys, it's Ben from Airline2Sim here, and welcome to our latest product line, which is called Airport2Sim. This is the first in a new product line which focuses on complex airports, and none are more complex than the beautiful airport at Amsterdam. This is Schipol, and you're seeing here the Boeing 747, the queen of the skies, sadly an aeroplane which is disappearing fast from the passenger fleets of the world's airlines, but it does live on in the KLM fleet for a while, and it lives on in our preview series for this particular airport. So what is Airport2Sim Amsterdam, and why do you need it, and why can it help you? Well, the good news is it's more than just a training package. As well as including 6 episodes of videos which show you from a real-world airline pilot how to operate here at Amsterdam, it also includes an enhanced GSX file to try and fix some of the problems that you run into at add-on airports, which we'll come back to shortly. But right now, let's have a look at the videos. Episode 1 focuses on the different parts of the airport. It looks at the taxiway layout, why you can't cross active runways at Schiphol. It looks at the intersections that you may expect for a takeoff. It also looks at the arrival patterns that are used at different times of the day at Schiphol. We'll look at departures, the kind of altitudes and clearances that you can expect, the kind of vectoring that you may get. And then when we look at the arrivals, we'll look at the night RNAV, which is very specific for noise abatement here at Schiphol. And we'll also look at arrivals in the day, which are handled completely differently. You have to vector yourself from certain parts on the standard arrival. We'll show you how to do that. We'll show you how some of the arrivals send you direct to a VOR near the airport. We'll also look at drawing some range rings to give yourself some situational awareness when you're vectoring yourself. And also we'll look at some areas in the airport in which you can go wrong. So hotspots on the complex taxiway layout. And also we'll look at some of the dangers of operating to Schiphol. For example, multiple arrival and departure runways, and go-arounds which sometimes can conflict, or maybe a go-around with a very low level of altitude. All of these things we'll cover in the training videos, which I think you'll find very interesting. By the end of the 6 episodes, you'll know everything there is to know about operating to and from Schiphol, and you'll be very, very comfortable with operating to this really complex airport. So now that you know all about flying to and from Amsterdam, thanks to the training videos, you're probably quite keen to fire up your sim and start flying here yourself. Now this is where you'll find Airport2Sim Amsterdam becomes even more useful, because we've made some tweaks behind the scenes to make things work just a little bit better. To demonstrate this, I'm in this beautiful 747-400, and we're taxiing along the inner taxiway, because back in the training videos we learned that this is the direction that this taxiway travels in. And we're about to turn onto the stand. Now I'm just using the default config here. This is GSX out the box and Flighttempo Amsterdam out the box as well. You can see that at the end of a long flight, having flown from Kuala Lumpur, we're now going to be having some niggles on the ground that Airport2Sim Amsterdam can fix. Okay, so just going to bring us to a stop. I'll turn the taxi lights off, put the parking brake on, and then bring up the GSX menu. And the first thing is, where on earth are we going to park? Now, of course, you could go on Google Maps and have a look at where the aircraft are parked, or you might have a bit of local knowledge, or perhaps you've been here as a passenger yourself. But, of course, in the sim, it is, well, frankly, a bit of a crapshoot. We don't quite know where we're supposed to park. We just pick a gate, and it says heavy. It looks like our aircraft is going to fit there, so let's go for Golf 7 and hope for the best, huh? So we're about to drive into the gate, and you can see already we've got a few problems. The rear stairs are jumbled up into the ground equipment there, but that's not too much of a problem. We're seeing the same thing on the other side with those baggage loaders sticking out of the gate on the other side, which doesn't look great. And of course the biggest problem that we face is that we've been given a marshaller and the Flighttempo default docking system. Now there he is on his big ladder, so he's going to marshal us into the gate. So here he is. Do we look at the safe dock or do we look at him? I think we'll follow the GSX marshaller on this occasion, so let's just keep taxiing forward. Slow it down now, just a couple of knots, just walking pace, a very slow walking pace at the end of the taxi. He's now about to disappear under the nose, so I need to just move the viewpoint a bit further forward. Okay, the safe dock now wants us to stop, but the GSX guy wants us to keep going, so I'm not sure. Let me just peek forward, and he said stop. Okay. parking brake on, and let me just set the chocks and call for some ground power, and I can shut the engines down and we can do the shutdown flow. Right, so we're pretty much shut down now. Let's have a look outside and see. Okay. So you can see we've got a bit of a problem here in that we've already run into the second default jetway. This is a bit of a problem. Okay, hang on. Just bear with me. My phone's ringing. Hang on. Yeah, hello. Hi. Yeah, Chief Captain, yeah. It's just the wing spar. How many $1 million? Oh, okay. I think I'm going to need a new job. Anyway, I think the pushback guy's going to need one as well. I think we need to at least get this guy some park sensors on his pushback tug. Okay, now we are having some fun, and let's be serious for a moment. This is not in any way me hating on FlyTampa or GSX. I'm in absolute awe of the work that FlyTampa have done with this airport, like every other airport that they do. And in fairness, if we stopped at the safe dock stop point, we may well not have hit the jetway. But the point is that just choosing a random gate and trying to see how the program works out the box, you can see that there are some compromises. So now using the same gate and GSX, the same utility, but with the Airline2Sim configuration, we're going to try this again. Okay, so let's install our modified GSX file and a couple of other small tweaks to the scenery. Now, the first thing is, of course, is that where are we going to park? Well, we've helped you out with that, because what we've done is we've looked at every single gate here and we've tested it out with different aircraft, because included in the package is a list of all of the gates, the biggest aircraft that will fit into that gate, the kind of docking system that you can expect, and the airlines that are baked into the scenery code for that particular gate. So we can see that our Malaysian Airlines 747 would be quite happy at gate G5, at gate G7, or indeed gate G9. So that makes life a lot easier. Rather than having to guess the gate, we can just fit our aircraft type and airline type directly into a gate. So let's run with Gulf 7 once again and see what happens. So we're going to select Gulf 7, and you can see this time it's telling us that we have a safe dock. And we'll choose Service Air once again as the handling operator. And the first thing is that visually we can see that the gate looks a bit tidier. We don't now have the rear stairs sticking out of the middle of the ground equipment. We can also see that those ground loaders are now parked back out the way on the diagonal white lines, which is where ground equipment should be when an aircraft's taxiing into the stand. Now, as we make the turn onto the stand, you can see things have changed a little bit as well. So rather than using the default scenery safe dock, we're now using the FS Dream Team one, which we've activated in the config file. And you can see that it's aircraft sensitive, so it knows that we're in a Boeing 747. So it's giving us a bit of guidance, a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right. Same thing again, just go nice and slow, just a few knots, just a walking pace. And stop. Okay, so there we are. We're going to stop. I'll just do the shutdown actions real quick. I'll disarm the doors, and I'll also open up the cargo doors and the bulk cargo outside. So let's call up the jetway, and they're now labeled, so we can have one left jetway to one left, and we confirm the selection, and the one left jetway starts to move. You see that it doesn't hit the other jetway, it doesn't conflict with the engine or the wing or anything. It all works perfectly. This is the power of SODE. And now we can do the other one. You can only operate one at a time. So we confirm the door to left jetway to door to left, and that starts to move as well. Let's have a look outside as we request the deboarding, and this guy starts to move, thankfully without crashing into anyone else, which is nice. And all the ground vehicles are behaving themselves quite nicely, along with our pushback guy who's patiently waiting there within the white lines, parked as he should be, not embedding himself into the side of the terminal. And let's have a look at the parking. Now you can see that the gear doors there are pretty much centered up on that center line, a fraction to the left actually, I would say. That means that our left main tires are just touching that red line, the exclusion zone for the gate, but I'll take that as pretty nice parking, and it means that we've done a nice job. And in fact, if I'd stopped just a fraction earlier, then the nose wheel would have been pretty much on the number. But everything has docked quite satisfactorily and everything is absolutely fine. Now, the other thing that I want to show you is we've made some tweaks to the pushback as well. So let me just call up the menu and we'll have service air once again. And we see the guy appears, and now we've labeled the pushback. So it says right onto taxiway A19 Charlie, all departures. So if we pull up the chart, we can see Alpha 19 Charlie is the taxiway behind us. And you can see that it doesn't make any sense for us to push back to our left, because then we'd be facing the low-cost stands. We'd be facing the wrong way in this little cul-de-sac. There is only really one way out of this particular parking, and that is to push us back to the right. Also, if there's a gate, and there are actually a handful of gates at the airport where you simply cannot successfully push back at all the pushbacks end up with the aeroplane being in the wrong place. And we've actually labeled those as an arrival gate only, because it's impossible to push back from them without conflicting with something else. So there you go, guys. Airport2Sim Amsterdam. It's $9.99 and it's available from the airline2sim.com website in the next few days and all leading flight sim retailers. Airport2Sim Amsterdam, we hope to see you on board soon.